Hey folks, Siam here. Thought I'd do a quick update. I've had a few prods and haven't done one for a while, or not to Twitter at least, Twitter and YouTube. So obviously the market's been falling quite a fair bit. So Bitcoin has been Bitcoin hasn't really fallen much. It's only about 65k. But one of the things that you have to ask yourself is who's doing the freaking selling, and it's hard to see exactly who's doing it, but you can see that the institutions have basically dumped about $9.5 billion worth of Bitcoin since really the 5th and 6th of June. So if you look at the, if you go to So Value, you can see that basically the spot ETFs have reduced their Bitcoin holdings by about $9.5 billion. So over a 3-week period, then yeah, that's quite a lot. When you average it all out, I think you're looking at something like $300 million a day worth of Bitcoin being sold, for the time being at least. And this can just pivot. Also, when you look at the dollar index, so obviously whenever you price anything in the dollar, if the dollar goes up, then assets go down, typically. And so what happened is that the dollar started going up, and that's when assets started jumping down. And I can't really give any TA on the dollar index because it's a regulated asset. But for those of you who are familiar with TA, I mean, if you were to show someone this picture here, and draw some necklines, etc., I'm pretty sure some people may think, oh yeah, you probably at least got a little attack of this level over here. Again, I can't comment. And so the thing is, if the dollar carries on rising, that's going to add downward pressure to everything else. Now, one thing I do have to hold my hands up here is that my TAO forecast, I'm going to have to reject that now. So one of the things I was looking at with TAO is that, so TAO from a technical point of view is actually relatively different or difficult to do compared to Kaspa. I find Kaspa very easy, but with TAO, I was thinking of these 3 occasions where we've had basically a falling compression of some sort, and then 2 months worth of booming, also 2 to 3 months worth of booming. And one of the outcomes, remember, trading is all about having a bunch or 2 or 3 different, likely probable scenarios to play out, and then you base your action. Then you have an action plan based on which scenario plays out. So the one that I had more weight on, and I personally thought would happen, is that we'd have near the apex of this compression, we'd have some sort of bottoming pattern like before. And again, if you really zoom in, we had a bit of a bottoming pattern over here with this one. These lines are not drawn properly. Just like here, we'd break out of that, we'd have some sort of bum line that we'd have to breach, and then it's off to the races for a couple of months. And so when I was looking at this and I saw this breach here, I thought, ooh, okay, that's sort of a shitty inverted head and shoulders, got some sort of neckline here, and now we're off to the races for the next 2 months. So I thought really from about here, from 22nd of May, add 2 months to that, May, June, July, end of July, we'd have some sort of a high. And I was looking at this, especially on the log chart, looking at something like this. So there will, on the log chart, there's a bit of a channel over here. And I thought, yeah, here we go. End of July time, or this one was early July. This was the very first one. But really, I then thought end of July, we'd have some sort of high around $1,000 based on this sort of trend here. However, the market has then proven that to be an incorrect thesis. So it's no longer. So let's get out of that one. Let's go back to this. It's not really a Kobo, so it's not really kissing off and buggering off anything. It's just dribbling down. In fact, if you look at on the daily chart here, we've got a bit of a low test here, so this is actually quite bearish, short term, of course. I'm still massively bullish. I've got, I haven't sold anything. So, yes, hindsight trading would have been good to sort of sidestep this up here and then buy more down here. But the thing is, one of the reasons I opted to not do anything is that had I tried to sidestep up here, I would have personally moved the price down to about $300 myself. Now it turns out other people haven't really given a shit and done it anyway. So maybe in hindsight I should have gone, screw the market, I'm just going to do what I want to do. But I genuinely thought, you know, if I start sidestepping, I would single-handedly move it down to 200, 300. So I just stayed put. So and I haven't sold any really. So in terms of moving forwards, I'm not actually too sure. I'm waiting for the dollar to basically stop being bullish, and once that happens, and we have inflows starting to come back in ETFs, then we'll start to see things getting a bit more bullish again. But until then, all cards off the tables. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if Bitcoin went back down to 60. I mean, really, that's the next level that it's sort of gagging for. So that's TAO. Again, I'm still getting the yields every day. So I'm not too fast. That just continually reduces your average buy-in price with the staking yields for TAO. In terms of Kaspa, again, similar thing. Here's my fractal. So remember Miko Geno's lovely log chart here for, well, a power law chart, a log plot for this. Gives us a nice, you know, this is why I believe by the end of 2025, where I see cycle high for most crypto, we'll see $2 to $3, which is here, that's 2 times 10 to the power of 0, it's $2, and here is 3 times 10 to the power of 0. So basically, when you're looking at that sort of orange area here, that's $2 to $3. So that's where I see that. So this gives us sort of the range, but obviously with my fractals, my big mini fractal cycles, which are actually have been pretty much spot on. I'm trying to determine when we get the down bits and bobs. So it looks like it's departing from the ghost feed at the moment, but it's not, in my opinion. So if we really zoom in, what price has actually shown us is that the amplitude is a lot higher, and the epoch, or the duration of each fractal, is getting a bit longer, which we know because of the emissions curve. So this move down in price here, I still believe is this little move down in the fractal, except obviously amplitude and the length is different. So this bit where it goes way up to the trap 5 as part of my cycles, I'm waiting for that to happen. And in fact, Kaspa looks like it's creating a bit of a schlong pattern, again with another halo, as in a high test. It's not nice, but yeah, just waiting for that bit. And when that bit happens, we're looking at sort of 25-ish cents, in my opinion. Maybe 20 cents. It's probably going to be a little bit lower than this fractal here. And then we should have choppiness for the rest of the year, and then an explosive move towards the end of the year. So what I'm really hoping for is that we do have a nice pullback towards the end of the year. Obviously, these are rough dates and times, but if we have a pullback towards the end of the year, this then adds a high propensity that this pullback should be adhered to, and that would be great, because if we look at this is towards the end of the year, this will be plus or minus 3 months, all of these things. It would be good that if Kaspa is actually bottoming whilst everything's peaking, because then we have instead of banging out to fiat, you can bang out into Kaspa. So yeah, and this is like at the end of the year, end of 2025. So that'll be pretty cool. So yeah, that's about it really. Not much to say. We just got at this point in the market. So if you go back to my fractals over here, if we go to the weekly chart on Bitcoin, nothing's really changed. You know, hash rate is still going through the roof. Kaspa hash rate is through the roof. Bitcoin hash rate is still churning on. The plumbing hasn't changed. So you don't really need to worry. We just got to wait for interest rates and stim pumps to start coming, and then we're off. But there's always, shenanigans around the halving. So where are we now? We are here, just around the halving. My ghost feed, I actually thought at this point, we'd be about 45k. But price is, 65k. So price has actually done a lot better. But look at the price action. So here we have the blue stuff is the ghost feed, which I did, probably about a year ago. We had a move up to some sort of local high, and then a bit of a, pullback of some sort. Well, the price action is very similar. So this bit and this bit similar. Then it goes wee. This is the wee bit, and now we're waiting for market to pull back a bit, and then, I mean, mid green zone is proper silly season. So yeah, technically we're still in a bull market, but in terms of the average retail sort of dum-dum, they're still not aware of it. It's when you see it in Sky News and all the mainstream media going, oh, Bitcoin all-time high again, all that sort of stuff. That's when the retail start sort of wading in like lemmings. So yeah, just give it time. This will correct. And as I said to my community today, I mean, just look at the 2017 bull market, and then just add up all of the 30% pullbacks. So like this was 2016, 2017. So from here to here, that was a 36% pullback. Then we had this one to this one. That was a 33% pullback. 39% roughly. 39%. 30-ish%, 28, and then boom. And throughout, if you go to the daily chart for this, you'll see that it always looks like, oh no, this is the all-time high. It's been rallying for ages. No. And then it has another wobble. Then it buggers off without you. It has another wobble. You think that's the high. No. And then it just leaves you for dust. And there's 30% pullbacks all the freaking time. So, like, I genuinely mean this. And anyone that's touting this left translated cycle bollocks really doesn't understand macro. We are nowhere near peak cycle, nowhere near. So yeah, this is not a high at 65-ish K. We've got another year and a bit. And if I go back to some previous slides from what I did my last cuddle, I have to always bring it back to the smooth brain bullet points, because it's here somewhere. There we go. This is what happens. This is the only blueprint you need. And I've said this for years. So where are we right now? If we get a little pen out, we're like here. No, we're probably even here. So we're definitely on 0.3. They're starting to try and borrow a bit, and we haven't seen any rate cuts just yet. But when the rate cuts happen, you need 2 or 3 rate cuts, then stocks start to tumble. Then it's going to be a lot to pain around this bit here, and in order to fix the pain, what do? They cut rates even more aggressively, and that's when sort of helicopter money starts coming out, all sorts of crazy stimulus, and that leads to boom time, baby. And this is next year. So I do see a stock market crash tail end of this year or next year. But in terms of my sequence here, like we're like somewhere around here, because we haven't had this yet. And I remember the global liquidity cycle. This is an old chart now. We're actually up to about 40. So this has been painted up. So we're probably around here now. And remember, there's a 6 to 18 month lag between this liquidity cycle, this chart here, and actual prices. Remember, if they're pumping and just spaffing liquidity in the market, it has to go somewhere, and it always goes to stocks, property, commodities somewhat, but also crypto. Crypto is one of the most sensitive assets towards liquidity pumping. So yeah, so we see that this is continuing to rise, and then remember there is a lag, and that's where people go, oh my god, we've got peak liquidity, but then they forget the lag. So yeah, there's no left translated cycle. It's bollocks. It really is. We're not even halfway through the sequence yet, and this is what always happens. So in summary, I don't know what the price of TAO is going to do in the short term. I know the long term, I'm still maintaining 2% of total market cap, and I get questioned on that so much, and I'll say it here for the last time. The reason I believe we got $22,000 TAO is quite simply due to the power law. So, and a few other things. So if you adhere to the power law for Bitcoin states that we should see 200 to 250k by the top of this cycle. I should have got the chart out, but yeah, just look at the power law for Bitcoin. So when you go to total crypto market cap here, and also, in fact, if you look at dominance or Bitcoin market share, typically during the cycle highs, Bitcoin's always around sort of 40, 39% total market cap during, the highs, and then obviously, then as it's entering the bull market, it recoups some ground. But because there's so many other projects these days, and very good ones, there's more people out there trying to eat its pie. So I think this time round, being conservative, I think Bitcoin's probably only going to be about 35% market share by peak cycle. So if you then go to total crypto market cap and look at this, so I've assumed here 35% market share, that gives us roughly 200k Bitcoin. Therefore, that gives us a total crypto market cap of 11.66 trillion. Let's call it 12 trillion. So 12 trillion is actually the higher estimate of this green bubble here. And just look at this, everything is a log chart pretty much on with crypto. I can't see total crypto market cap deviating too much from this curve here. It may be, and because we're entering the bull market, it's most likely to over-egg this curve. So probably, it may not over-egg it, this much, or even this much, but even a little over-egging, it still puts us at, call it $9-10 trillion. But, let's play devil's advocate. Let's say we don't see $12 trillion for, let's say this variable is out, that variable is out, and therefore peak market, we go bang on in the middle of this thing here. We got, I don't know, let's call it $7 trillion. $7 trillion. Well, due to other bits and bobs, which I've mentioned so many times before, a 2% market share for Bittensor, for what it's doing, is, I still think, very pessimistic. I mean, Cardano is a smart contract ecosystem and hit just over 4% market share and $95 billion market cap with no freaking ecosystem. It was just vaporware. Cardano is a joke. It still is a joke. So when I say 2% market share for TAO, I'm being massively pessimistic. But let's just do the numbers. The circulating supply by the end of 2025, it will be roughly about 10.5 million, probably a bit lower than that. But I'm doing worst case scenario here. So let's just take the, 6.6 trillion. So I've really miscalculated the total market cap by 100% here, because I've said 12. So that's not 6.6 trillion, that's 660 billion. There we go, 6.6 trillion. 2% of this is $132 billion. $132 billion divided by 10.5 million. That gives us TAO at 12.5k. 12.5k, what's the price now? Like 300? 298, call it 300. Divide that by 300. You're looking at a 40, just call it a 40x. So even if I'm 100% wrong with the total market cap, and it only hits 2%, we're still looking at 12.5k TAO, which is a 40x from here. Why, and people say, well, you love Kaspa so much, why are you not more in Kaspa than TAO? Well, I'm just doing the reasonable things. So let's say Kaspa only gets to $2. So 2 divided by 0.143, it's only a 13x. Let's say it goes to $3. Okay, let's do the same thing. 143x. It's only a 20x. So with what Bittensor is doing, it's created. You have to look at the Apple iStore. iStore. So mobile phone, Apple iPhone comes out in 2007, 2008, and then a year later the App Store's released, and then Google releases the Android App Store, because you had technologies coalescing all at the same focal point in time to create a brand new technology, which is the App Store. We take it for granted, but at the time this was game changing. It was a new virgin landscape where random people across the world could develop apps for mobiles. Great. And then boom, Apple went nuts. So did Android. And then Ethereum comes along in crypto world and goes, hey, you can actually create apps in crypto land. This is how you create an ERC20 smart contract, blah, blah, blah. So Ethereum created a brand new virgin landscape, and then Ethereum went nuts. I got in Ethereum at $9, and I put a chunky amount in around $9, or nine. Most of it was filled at $50, but still I rode it up nicely. So Ethereum boomed because of that. So what's Bittensor doing? It's created a brand new virgin landscape for decentralized AI building. So it's doing what ETH did. This is why I've overlaid the price action of ETH in 2017 with Bittensor. I don't think it's going to depart this that much. Like, maybe this pump down here is very similar to what happened with Ethereum back here. So yeah, there's no power law or anything like that with TAO, but I think because it's a whole new ecosystem, fully decentralized, fully distributed, and you've got what, 36, if you check out Subnet alpha.ai, this site gives you constant sort of it's constantly being updated with what the hell's going on with the subnets. Within a couple of months, or within a month, there should be 64 subnets open, but obviously there's a lot of competition and whatnot. So at the moment we've only got 36, but you can, literally click on whatever subnet you want, have a little look, and do some quick research on what it's trying to do, the team, blah blah blah. If they have a Twitter feed, it'll show all that. So yeah, so just imagine what the subnet ecosystem. Go back to subnet alpha.ai. If you go back to this, this time next year, hopefully we'll see like 120 subnets all live and firing and doing something different. So yeah, this is why I'm in it. Anyway, I won't do an update like this for a while. I tend to save this for my community, and yeah, I hope that makes sense. And actually, just before I go, I did see ETH looking quite, short term. Personally, I think ETH looks like it's wanting to have a bit of a tiny pop up, but hey ho. Anyway, gotta go. Cheerio. Bye.